Well, 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 what do we have here then? Could it be? Could this be the return of Tesla Coils and Cool Dude Clem's electronic workshop? It sure is! Welcome to Cool Dude Clem's electronic workshop with me, your host, Cool Dude Clem. But first, before we get into the electronics, I just want to give you a little update on my arch journey. I can happily say, this has passed just about every test I could throw at it, which you're gonna see in a moment. Did have a slight hiccup with the sound, it just randomly decided to stop working one day. So I removed pulse audio, replaced it with pipe wire, and now everything's good. So this is all looking very promising. This is showing real potential here. The biggest hurdle that I had with this though, was not installing it, it was not configuring it, although we did have that audio problem. The biggest hurdle, I decided that I would install Wine from the AUR, but I didn't realise just how long that was going to take, because, it downloads it and then it's got to compile it and build it and all that stuff. So I decided, it's getting late, I'll leave the computer on overnight, and when I wake up I'll have a nicely compiled and built and installed Wine, only to find that at some point during the night, it had finished and prompted me for a password, but of course because I was asleep, I missed all that and it timed out and I lost the lot. Installing it with Pac-Man though, that worked just fine. Wine Tricks on the other hand, I tried to load it up and it wouldn't load up, so then I decided to launch it through the terminal, see if there was any problems there, and yeah, there it was. I needed the Zenity dependency, that was no big deal to install, but the only thing that I don't know how to do, which I'm investigating into, is how to set custom icons for certain file types. I haven't figured out how to do that yet. I know how to do that on Linux Mint Cinnamon. On KDE I don't really know how to do that, but that's something I'm gonna look into. So first test, can we game on this? And the answer is yes. But I think you already knew that was coming. So with this old graphics card I've got, I cannot do the I cannot have the graphics on too high or it's gonna really chug. Round about there seems to be a good balance for this graphics card. Because it's an old AMD graphics card. Oh, there's KDE himself. Let's do a random track. Oh look, it's my favourite place. Actually, my absolute favourite track on this game is, what's it now? Black Forest, I think. Yeah, you see, this seems to be working pretty good. Oh, there's my girlfriend. Later. I really don't have much more to say. Apart from, I use Arch, by the way. Yeah, my other computer can play this at a full 60 frames per second with... Yeah, my other computer can play this at 60 frames a second with everything maxed out. This one... yeah, it chugs. It really chugs at those settings. I don't know why I like rain so much, I just do. And storms. Give me rain and storms any day. I hate sun. It's obnoxiously bright and turns everybody into obnoxious loud morons. And in summer, it's too hot. I want one. Next test was, can we get jack audio in Audacity? And, what the hell? It keeps doing this and I don't know why. If I just click on it, maybe that'll get back. Okay, yeah. I don't know why it keeps doing that. But yeah, if we go into edit and preferences, as you can see, we've got the jack audio in Audacity. And the reason why I need to do that is when I'm decoding chiptunes and when it comes to the arpeggios and everything, well, let me give you an example here. That's something that's commonly used in chiptunes to simulate chords, but if I want to hear the notes individually, so I want to select this low note here and play that. Now normally, with a pipe wire or pulse audio driver, I wouldn't be able to do that. Let me give you a demonstration. I'll select the low note again, and I'm going to change this in preferences. I'm going to change this to ALSA, which is using the pipe wire audio. So I select a very tiny snippet of audio right here, and we hear nothing. Now go back to jack, and try that again. And that's why I used the jack audio host with Audacity. Next thing was, can I load Qt apps? And I have one right here. I think this one's the executable. And the answer is yes. Yes, I can. So the next question was, can I load a MIDI in a Windows app in Wine and route its output into QSynth so we can actually hear it? And the answer is yes. Although I don't know why it's playing the drums through a piano, but let me just fix that. Oh, where is... There it is, channel 10. Okay, let's change that. We don't want the drums playing on the piano. We want the drums playing on drums. There we go. Yeah, that's enough of that. And the final question was, can we play 32-bit Windows games? Well, you already saw a 32-bit Windows app running. So let's say Sonic Classic here. Let's double click on that. And this is another thing I like about the Dolphin file manager. You can see the apps of Windows games if you've got Wine installed, and you could run them just like you can on Windows. Okay, not everything works, but most of it does. Although I don't know why the music isn't playing, but I think that's just a Wine issue. I wonder if that will respond to the gamepad. No, it won't. Oh, I see a little Tails. How many saves have I got on this? We don't want boring old Sonic. No, we want Tails. Come on. Give me Tails. Fine, we'll go with that save. But yeah, that's working. Okay, I think I found out how to do that. A little bit of Googling. So let's say I want to change MP3s to an Android icon. I don't know why I would, but let's just say I want to do that. If we apply, refresh, that should change. If I refresh that, yeah, there we go. So I'm going to change that back to what it originally was, because, you know, the only question is, why did I not try Arch earlier? It does everything I need. It might even replace Linux Mint. Anyway, I'm just trying to find the audio MP3 thing, because I do want to change it back to what it was. I think it was that icon. Alright, there we go. Anyway, enough of that. Now on to the main feature of the video. So, do you know what this is? Do you know what this means? Yep, I'm going back to doing the Tesla coils. And I know what you're saying, a long flipping last. So there was this video on YouTube I saw where someone built a Tesla coil, and although they showed how to build it, they didn't provide a schematic. So I've done a bit of reverse engineering, and this is the schematic. Although I have made a few changes to it. So first thing I noticed in the video, I will put a link to it in the video description. I'm not taking full credit for this circuit, but it seemed to me that he had the filter capacitor connected across the diode, which doesn't make any sense. So I corrected that little mistake. Also, his circuit used PNP transistors, and we all want to use NPN transistors, so, you know, I've redone it with NPN transistors. The only other change I've made to the circuit is that between the base and collector of each of these transistors, he had back-to-back Zener diodes, and, you know, that's fine. It's going to protect the transistors from, you know, too much negative bias, but we only need a single diode between the base and the emitter, because there is a diode basically built in between the base and emitter of the transistors. So when this is forward biased, that's gonna do its best to clamp the voltage down to about 0.6 volts. Just so long as we don't get too much current going through there, it's gonna be fine. And then just a single diode to prevent the voltage going too high when it's going the other way. So that's what I'm gonna do. Although, what I'm gonna do in my circuit is I'm gonna replace these with MOSFETs. And I'm going to go with the back-to-back Zener diodes between the drain and the source. But anyway, that's the description of the circuit, and I'm now going to get on and build it. Okay, so I started building. Now my bench is a complete mess at the moment, so I'm just doing this all on my bed. But got the two transistors, these are MOSFETs, and I've got the gate protection Zener diodes all ready to be put on, so I'm going to do that now. Well, making progress. The diodes are on, and so are the starting resistors, even the central ground. Now all I've got to do is make the feedback transformer, make the inductor, make the primary, come up with some kind of power supply, and I think we'll be done. A new clip, a new bit of progress. So, I've made and connected the feedback transformer and the inductor. That's just a 25 turn on a bit of toilet roll. We'll see how well it works. Right, so we're almost done. I forgot what I filmed in the previous clip, so I'll go through all this again. So, got the starting / biasing resistors for the two MOSFETs, and of course the two MOSFETs themselves, feedback coil, choke, and the primary. That has a few more turns on it, because the primary, the secondary I'm going to use is a bit skinnier and it's got more turns on it, so obviously it makes more sense to have a few more turns on the primary, which is center tapped. And these two wires here are connected to the case of each of these MOSFETs, which is the base, no, not base, the drain. I don't know what made me say base, that's not even related, but next step is to put this all together and test it. Well, here it is, built and ready to be tested. All I need to do now is come up with some kind of power supply so I can actually test this thing. But yeah, got the transistors on their heat sinks, and the very few extra components needed to make this thing work. Got the primary and secondary all ready. Now first what I want to do is just run this at low power just to see if it actually oscillates. And if it doesn't, I'll flip the primary round and see if that fixes anything, and if that doesn't fix anything, I'll try something else. Okay then, we're ready to begin. Anyway, got the scope set up, ready to measure any RF that's going to come off this. And to power it, I'm going to use this 15 volt wall wart supply, which is current limited, so if anything does go wrong, so for instance, if I've got the primary the wrong way around and it starts pulling a whole lot of current, it's not going to damage my MOSFETs. Right, now I'm not expecting any breakout at the moment, although if it does, that'll be nice. This is merely to see if it oscillates. So connecting the power. Oh yes, we have oscillation. We have a lot of oscillation. Alright, turn that down a little bit. Alright, I'll put the antenna on 20 volts per division. Turn up the scale a bit so we can see the output better. Man, that's outputting a lot. I'll get out the way in a minute. I think I'm going to have to use a smaller antenna, because yeah, we're definitely getting RF coming off that thing. Thing is, it's peaking my scope. But when I was working, we got success. And that was only at 15 volts. Right, next test I want to do, see if we've got enough RF to light up a CFL. And we do. We indeed do. Okay, I'm going to try and draw an arc off this. And we do have output. It's not much though. It's maybe 3000 volts, but I'm not complaining. Okay, so we know this can light up a compact fluorescent light quite nicely. But can it make an incandescent bulb? Clear one, for reasons you'll see later. Can we get streamers inside the bulb? And oh yeah, there we go, look at that. Looks very blue on the camera, but in real life they look purple. Who needs a plasma globe when you got this? Okay, what I want to do now is just sniff around with my scope probe and see what kind of voltages we're getting. So first I'm going to probe the drain of the upper MOSFET, see what we got there. And we got, oh, yep, we definitely got something there. Come on, show me the way. Okay, yeah, we got a lot of, yeah, we got a nasty voltage spike at the drain there. Turn my scope probe on to 10x. Sniff around there again. What are we getting? Just put out 50 volts per division? Yeah, we got about 300 volt. We got about a 300 volt spike at each MOSFET there, which is not good. Now, I'm gonna see what we got at the gates. Okay, so, put my probe onto the gate of the lower MOSFET, and we have a pretty bad gate drive waveform, but I didn't expect it to be perfect. And on the upper MOSFET, if I can just get my probe on there, a somewhat worse waveform. Okay, so I'm experimenting with different inductors. So we got this one here, which is the original, and I've tried a few others. And I think with this inductor here that I've just grafted onto it, it does give a little bit more output. I mean, you be the judge of this, but this is with the original inductor. Okay. And this is with the other inductor. If anything, I think that's a little bit brighter, but not by much. So, I know it doesn't look all that impressive at the moment, but the fact that this thing oscillated and produced RF the first time I turned it on, that is a result in of itself. Now all I have to do is come up with a way to stop those high voltage spikes across the MOSFETs, and then I can power this at much higher voltages, and hopefully we'll see breakout and plasma and all that good stuff. But anyway, I'm sure this video is getting like 50,000 hours long now, so I'm gonna go and edit this, and then I'm gonna go and figure out all that stuff. And until next time, goodbye.